Welcome to Moonlight Madness, and today we're doing a reading for Earth signs: Capricorn, Virgo, Taurus. And the decks I'm using is the Faery Tarot deck by Doreen and Radleigh Valentine. The Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette-Baron-Reid. The Enchanted map by Colette-Baron-Reid. The Wild Wisdom of the Fairy Oracle by Cavendish and Selina Fenech artwork. We're doing this on a full moon. Earth signs are very grounded, so it's an Aquarian energy which may be upsetting to some because most Aquarians are flighty or flight risk, whereas Earth signs are very grounded. Was told if you're very ungrounded to eat root vegetables like potatoes and carrots. Never helped me, but okay. The first card I pulled is your card, the King of Pentacles. Earth sign, which is you, Taurus, Capricorn, Virgo. Someone who likes to count his chickens in his hen house. His dog by his side. He likes to look at his wealth, be reminded what he's accomplished. He's happiest when he's admiring all of his nice things like his car, his house, his furniture, things like that. He's very possessive, can be quite protective of his family. He does care, but he tends to be so busy. He's never home. He's always out doing activation, as in activism, looking after a little league and running a small business. Or several small businesses, or hundreds of people. Seven of Swords talks about having something that no one else has, or running away from the truth. So you may have the only drop of water and there's ice everywhere around you. You may be dodging a bullet. Maybe there's not dodging a bullet as in someone trying to take your life, but dodging a bullet by not choosing to do a certain thing that someone suggested to you. Do the opposite is what it's saying here. So I'll just clarify the Seven of Swords. Wanting to be alone, things not going according to plan, self-deception, people who are hiding their true intentions. Pay attention to red flags. Although you like to see the best in people, it's time to take the blinders off because there's a lot of dishonest people around you. So watch out for dishonesty. In the world, in the past you may have had to move country or state. You may have come from a colder climate, because the Seven of Swords represents a cold climate with ice, and moved to a warmer climate. You may have had to move countries and started anew. This may have been a rebirth or a new beginning, freedom to go any direction, and it would have been a Capricorn energy that was around you when you moved. Capricorn is always about climbing the mountain, family, a journey that's at an end, a sense of completion, moving forward. Then you've got Ace of Pentacles, which is to do with money or a lump sum tax. Something like that. You may have had a tax that was released to you, or a change in your career, or maybe you took some money out of a savings account and did something like went on holidays. Four of Swords is to do with sleep. Maybe some of you don't sleep very well. You may have issues with sleep patterns, or you may need to rest because you've been unwell. Pine cones mean illumination, so you may need to go to sleep in order to get insight or gainful insight, as in astral travelling to find out your near future. Four of Wands is to do with a new home. You may be moving or wanting to move to a new home, and there's a castle involved. So some of you are wealthy. You may choose to go and live in a castle somewhere. Just for some. Another castle. Maybe you've got a castle already. Maybe you're like, royalty, and you've got two palaces, like the Summer Palace and the Winter Palace. So maybe you want to choose to live in the Winter Palace for a while. The Empress represents Taurus energy. So you may have either a Taurus in your chart, or you may be, indeed, this is actually a reading for a Taurus specifically, who they love to nurture. They're like a mother figure. You may be a mother figure to someone in your realm, like your circle of children or friends. You act as their mother, their second mum. And you get great joy out of that. You like to mother and nurture. Maybe there's two people you nurture, two children, two grandchildren even. The Empress is the great they call them the grandmother, the great mother, or mother of the queen, the empress. And it's saying hard work that pays off, getting a lot done. It's time to get busy. New things on your horizon. Expecting something new. Some of you may be having a child. There's someone around you who is happy about it, and he is the Prince of Wands. Or it could be a she. We're not gender fluid here. You could be married to someone who is a Leo. We're in Leo season. Leo, Aries, or Sagittarius, who is happy about this new baby, this new beginning, or a new venture, a new job, or a new baby. The car may be a baby. This person is rational, but they're restless, they're self-confident, they're passionate. They like to have jump from one thing to the next. They have a rabbit who's always on the go, so they like to procreate, but they also like to be busy, constantly on the move. In one calendar year, things will change. You have 1 year where you can spin hair into gold, or you may buy a new car, or you may change houses or directions. It's saying that in one calendar year, this will come through. The 6th of autumn is all about giving to charity, or giving your time and energy to a charity or a cause that you believe in very fondly of, and that will come back to you wisely because you've invested in community. And this card deck is the Wild Wisdom of the Faery Oracle. This is the most beautiful deck because the pictures are amazing by Lucy Cavendish. I really love the drawings on these cards. Some of us have to go and travel for work, but not all of us. If you can have the best of both worlds. You may want to travel to work in Sydney 3 days a week and then choose to work from home because you maybe needed to look after a parent or a grandparent, or someone chooses to put their life on hold and you're their main concern because they're your carer, and then they work 3 days a week, permanent part-time, and the rest of the time they're looking after you. You may have a family member that wants to do that because they're worried about your well-being, because you may be getting on and you're sleeping a lot more and you're not getting up as early, and they're concerned for your health. Slow down. It's saying to slow down. You've been really rushing. I know I've been pushing things to the limit the last 8 weeks, trying to get a house and a job, managed to secure the job, and then I got the house and I had to push for it because this housing crisis is so difficult to get housing. You literally have to do whatever it takes to secure a property right now. It's awful. And I'd much rather do it at a snail's pace because I want to make sure I've got the right place rather than the wrong one. You can't do that unless you make a calculated decision. If you're in a hurry, you have no time to be calculating. Her special place. Find your own safe space inside and out. Maybe you've just moved and you've got your own space and you're so happy because you don't have to share it with anyone else. Get to an age in your life where you no longer want to share or be a flatmate. You much prefer to be on your own. That would be me. Okay, Wisdom of the Oracle. Let's see what we've got in this deck. There it flew out. Truth be told, legal battles. Some of you may be going through legal issues. Signing something, not signing something. It's never a fun thing. Be wise like the owl and fly away from a group of people who don't have your interests at heart. Your best interests at heart. They may just be in competition with you and just want to know gossip rather than actually caring about your well-being. Sometimes these people can be family members. I know some of my family members, they're more like strangers to me. And the way they treat me is like a stranger, not like a family member. Higher power. Listen to the higher power. You may have a guardian angel looking out for you right now. Possibly someone who's passed over from another realm. I'm talking about grandparent energy or uncle energy. Truth be told, fortune. You are honestly accepting things at face value, coming out of denial, the willingness to be transparent. There is the truth, which is the essence of a thing, and then there is a truth and the subject according to whoever believes in that truth. Or there is the truth, the authentic. It's not a time for a debate. It's time when you are called to proclaim your truth out loud. Be willing to be transparent, honest and open in your communication with others and with yourself. Nothing less than surrender to what is peeling off the layers of denial that kept you tied from an illusion will set you free. Be authentic and gloriously flawed, and spirit will answer with miracles. People tell you quickly who they are if you're willing to listen to what they say and pay attention to how they behave. This card calls you to engage in heartfelt, open conversation. It's time to see the truth about what you share with each other and tell the truth about who you are and what you need. No one can do that for you. Remember that your truth is based in your personality, experience up to now. A higher truth we found after you communicate honestly and see how things are doing has helped you become more attuned to you. Don't hold back. Speak your truth and listen. 4. Higher power. This is about channeling messages for people that are passed over. Conscious contact with a higher power. This card reminds you you are more than a person trying to get ahead and make things happen. You have an immortal soul and a gift with a human life. As I said before, I'm a human with a spiritual life. It's time to address how much effort you give to your relationship with your higher power, called God, Goddess, Spirit, or other name. Recognise that your partnership with Spirit is your number one priority. And the appearance of this card says there's a deep spiritual bond between you and another person who is essential to your growth. Tend to your spiritual connections and remain aware of your true nature. Humility will serve you well. And you've got snail's pace. Again, earth energy. Not quick to act. Analysing everything before they act. Fairies see beneath the shell you present to others. They too know that you doubt your own impact and influence, but they look upon you fondly. And they wish for you to take the time to slow down, find your own pace. It's time to take and find the path that is your own. While others may see you as lazy or even slow, a little foolish, that's none of your business what people think of you. It's time to slow down, to check your pace, find your rhythm, and know that you have a fairy garden watching over you. Happy to see you moving on your own energy, time and space. You can be lonely at times and need to be aware of your surroundings. Your hard shell protects a sweet and soft being. You leave behind silvery beauty, an energy stream that is discernible to those who are sensitive as you are. Do not confuse slowing down for a time of stasis. As far from this, your soft contemplation of a gentle pace you're creating you. When you observe the creative forces that you have mustered together and released into the material world, you'll realize that your thoughts have created this tangible reality. What do you see that you love? What would you like to incorporate in your life? There will soon be many choices. For now, please work on nurturing, protecting, and loving yourself, mothering yourself, or keeping a slow and gentle pace. Pay attention to what's happening in each moment. Listen to your heartbeat and feel it echo throughout creation. Yeah, nurturing, self-nurturing is what that's talking about. 16. Find out your own safe space. And even time of solitude and quietness, the second time that's come up in the reading. Solitude is a big thing you need right now. strife and stress, find a way in which you respond with healing and love and give those things to yourself. Take a break from hearing about disasters and create an oasis where only some can enter and only at your invitation. This card can signal a need for a haven, a sanctuary, where you can commune with your own emotions, have time out that will refresh and restore you when you re-enter the world. This also come up in Scorpio's energy. This is a time of introversion, not of sadness, but of turning towards the oasis and the peace that exists within. Drawing this card can signify that you need to put energy into creating your own special place, a room, a home, or a space to work where you feel safe, creative, and without judgment. This card also signifies you are healing from health and emotional issues because you have worked hard on creating a physical space in which you are treated with love and respect by yourself firstly and by others. The beautiful fairy's appearance could also signify a remission in health issues. Renewal and healing may be simple as finding a quiet place near a still body of water and doing what you love, or be sure to follow the as within, so without greed. Create peace inside, and a peaceful place may manifest. Go through your meditations and the external world shall appear. You will then be at peace. Hope that helps someone out there. I have been getting messages for a couple of days now about my son and water and being unable to get above water, feeling like I'm drowning. And so I saw my son from back when he was 5 years ago, before I became homeless. I borrowed one of his blankets and I saw him saying he didn't cut his hair because he was trying to save me money, because I kept calling Nan going, I'm worried about how I'm going to pay my rent because I was not working at the time. And so he took it upon himself to internalise that and think that he was the problem, and that if he didn't get a haircut that would save me money and I wouldn't be stressed. He took it upon himself. It was not his burden to place upon himself. I also got a vision of him not eating because he was scared to eat food, because at the time my boys lived with their Nan, and Nan didn't have any access to funding and they didn't work, and Nan worked but had to provide for 2 children that didn't get any help from anyone. And so I used to buy them clothes and give them food, but it didn't really cover the cost of living back then. And I think he stopped eating because he wanted to make sure Nan ate. He didn't want to be the reason that she didn't. But I got that impression that I had to apologise to him for thinking that it was his problem and it was actually mine. And because he overheard conversations that he wasn't meant to, he took it on himself to find a solution, which was not his job. He was a child. And so, again, I'm apologising to him and to my mum. She should have reached out. I would have found a way, but we weren't talking. COVID happened. COVID stopped a lot of people connecting. And if you don't have Zoom and you're old, or you're like me that's out of the loop with computers and apps and all of that, then you're lost. You're on no man's land. I was so lucky I had helpful people at university who walked and taught me through doing an open foundation course during a pandemic. It was the worst timing I could have undertaken a university degree. I had to fail a subject because I couldn't access the one-on-one time I needed in order to create and do my visual arts one-on-one. I needed that person in the room to teach me. I couldn't understand Zoom. I didn't understand the concept of it, and I failed the course. I'm sure many, many people did, and my kids probably should have failed their courses, but they stuck with it. And so, yeah, it was a very trying time for a very lot of people who were not computer literate. It exposed the computer nuts, the younger generation, and it was a great division between the young and the old. There was a great division between racism, between white and black. It was a huge divider, COVID. It separated so many people from so many things and places and family members and their cultural beliefs and their background that everyone felt like an alien, including the people that were here left behind from their country who were treated like aliens because they were from China. I witnessed firsthand racial hatred, racial discrimination at a Centrelink office in Mayfield. These 2 individuals who were off their nut on something, white, Caucasian, turned around and said to me, it's all those Asians' fault. we should just boot him out of the country. I said, hang on a minute, mate. I've got 3 very scared little Asian girls that are international students who are scared. They're petrified to leave their room because you have this hatred towards them. It's not their fault. They are just Chinese. They didn't cause the pandemic. A scientist did. Don't judge the whole because of a part of some. The whole is part of the sum is part of the whole. They're just part of the sum. They didn't invent it. They're just stranded here. They're aliens in a country they don't understand. They barely speak any English, and I'm here to facilitate and make sure they don't commit suicide or get so depressed they don't come into their room and not eat or shower. So, you know what I'm saying, mate? You don't understand what they're going through. They're going through hell. And he looked and turned around and looked at me and said, oh, I never thought of it like that. I said, well, maybe you should, mate. Pull your head out of your ass and think about what you're actually saying here. These people are scared. And I'm an Aussie, and I'm trying to make them feel at ease by cooking Australian meals so that they feel like they fit in. If you make someone feel like they're ostracised, then they're going to turn around and try and kill you. Putin is ostracised because he's got mental health. If he didn't have mental health, we wouldn't have this problem with Ukraine. So China feels ostracised by lots of cultures because they're so rigid and they've got belief systems that we don't understand. Doesn't mean we have to blacklist them and make them feel like outsiders, because by making them feel outsiders, they don't feel included. Therefore, they feel defensive and they want to go and rain a parade or a war upon people that exclude them. You need to have inclusivity. I've studied disability support, talks about inclusion. We need to include everyone. Everyone should be able to follow their own religion and practice their own creed and not be judged. If we were all allowed to be us in a multicultural country, which is Australia, then we wouldn't have this division or this hatred. We wouldn't have this possible war. We just need to remember that COVID divided and segmented and almost killed us as a family, like it did back in the 1800s. It almost devastated our entire life, our entire system. And what I saw with COVID, when I was lucid dreaming under the influence of a medication that didn't agree with me, I saw Wuhan in my mum's house. I saw it before it happened. I saw Black Lives Matters, and I saw that there was nothing left because we went to war and everything was dead. There was no birds, there was no trees, there was nothing, there was no sound. We destroyed our entire environment, and that's where we're heading if we don't get along, if we don't find a way to find a resolution, if we don't find a way as humanitarians, as in human rights. There's only 60 countries in the world that support human rights. China's not one of them. These left field countries that don't understand and have a hard line are the ones that are attacking the ones that are democracies. We're democracies. We include everyone. If they could learn to bend a little, we could all get along. We wouldn't have this problem of a potential World War IV that could obliterate mankind, which is what I saw. That's what I'm scared of. And I saw the warships. I heard the planes going over. I saw all that back in 2020 during the daytime when I was awake. Mind you, I had a lot of people that smoked drugs in the house that they shouldn't have. That's what made me see stuff, but I was seeing potential future outcomes because I'm so highly affected by things. But we shouldn't get to that point because it should not be the Acopolis. We're an evolved species. Why do we always go back to war? If we're so evolved, why do we always go back to war? Have we not learnt from past mistakes? We need to look to the past to understand the future. That's why we have history books. And that's what I said in the last reading for back in the COVID days when we're under lockdown. I did a reading for Earth Signs. I said, you need to look to the past on how you dealt with the pandemic back then or the war back then in how to fix the problem now, because the past has repeated and we haven't learned from it. And karma teaches us if we don't learn it the first time, we'll be sent back into the same environment till we learn the lesson before we die. So as a international, as a humankind, we need to relearn the lesson again. What we didn't learn in the 40s, we had to relearn in the 2020s. We're supposed to be evolved. We're not. We're not evolved. We should have learnt from the first time, but we're going through a second pandemic because we want to go shoot each other. We've gone back to Neanderthal levels, not evolved human beings with all this knowledge. We've got 8-year-olds on iPads. We're now telling single mums, oh, guess what? Your kid goes back to school full time and you go back to work full time, because by the time the kid's 8, he's actually superseded you on a mental level. Your knowledge means nothing because they've evolved beyond that. That's the scary part. And all of a sudden there's fights with the parent and the child. I've watched it. I've seen it firsthand myself. How do you control a nation or a world or an economy or a species that's evolved beyond your own knowledge? If your kid knows more than you, how are you meant to parent them? Do they actually need parents? Or can they get what they need from a computer or a robot? That's my question. Do we become obsolete after the age of 8? And if so, do those kids go to high school earlier and graduate earlier? And do we relent or give up our parental role or our parental rights at 8? Because we can't teach them anymore and they're beyond us. That's my fear. It's going to change and shake up a whole different system. We're in the age of Aquarius. Moonlight Madness, we are in the age of Aquarius. That's my age. My kids have all got Aquarian placements. We're outside the box. Anything can happen. Anything can happen, it has and will. That's all I have for Earth Signs. Thank you.